If you want a faster way to navigate through your file system instead of using the Finder or the CD command, then you need to check out Superfile. Superfile is a terminal file manager that looks nice, is highly customizable, and was made by a 16-year-old Taiwanese student. To use it, make sure you have Nerd fonts installed to help with icons. Then, if you're on a Mac, you can install Superfile with Brew, but there are many other ways to install it. And once you're done, all you have to do is write SPF in your terminal to see this beautiful file manager. Now, before we continue, I've actually modified the default hotkeys to match with the Vim ones as suggested if you're a Vim user. So the hotkeys I have may be different to yours, but hopefully this video will still be easy to follow. Anyway, you can move around with H, K, J, and L, or the arrow keys. Pressing L or right will go into a folder, and pressing H or left will go to the parent folder. You can get a nice preview of what's inside the folder on this side, which especially works well for code. But if you want, you can hide it by pressing F, and you can also show and hide the footer by pressing Ctrl or Shift F. But I don't know why you'd want to hide the preview since it's so useful. You can search by pressing /, typing in what you want and hitting enter. And you can access the sidebar with Ctrl S or just S, the processes section with Ctrl P or just P, and the metadata section with Ctrl D or just M. You may have noticed down here it says name and browser. You can change this, which is the sorting option, by pressing the O key, and I can change to size, hit enter, and you can see the sorting order changes. I can also press Shift R to reverse the sorting order, and if I wanted to show hidden files, I can just press the dot key. The browser here means that I can browse through the files, but if I press the V key, I can change it to select, which means instead of opening a folder or file, I can select and unselect it, and if I hold Shift and up and down, I can select multiple files and folders. But let's say I wanted to copy and paste a bunch of files. I'm going to go into desktop, and from here I could scroll down, press V to select, and I'm going to select all these screenshot files. I can press Y or Ctrl C to yank or copy, and you can see they'll end up in the clipboard. Then I could move into the folder that I want to put them in. So in this case, I'll put them in code logos. And to do that, I can press the P key. And you can see they're all here, and Superfile has recorded that process. We can cut a file by pressing X, and again, paste it with P. And you can delete a file by pressing the D key, which will bring up this prompt. And then I'll press Enter to confirm. You can create multiple panels by pressing the N key, and toggle between them with Tab or Shift Tab. I actually don't use that feature much, but it's good to know you can create multiple panels if you need to. You can pin folders to the sidebar with Shift P, but of course you have to be in the folder. So if I go back up one and press Shift P, it's going to pin my whole users folder. I can press Shift P again to remove the pinned item, and if I go into desktop and press Shift P, that will be removed from my pinned section as well. You can create a new file by pressing the A key, and I can do test.md, which should show down here, or I can create a new folder by pressing A, typing in the folder, and then pressing /. In fact, if I wanted to, I could create a folder and a file in one go. But the customization options are where Superfile really shines. If I exit Superfile with Ctrl C, I can press SPF PL to find all the Superfile related files and directories. I've also got it pinned over here for easy access. So in the config toml file, you can see we can customize the theme from the list of available themes in this folder. You can also add an editor. So in my case, I've got NeoVim, which will allow you to open a file in that editor by pressing the E key. So here it's taken me to NeoVim, and if I leave NeoVim, I go straight back to Superfile, which is really cool. If I wanted to open this whole directory in NeoVim, I can just press Shift E. So let's change the theme. Let's open this file and change the theme from Tokyo Night to Blood. So I'll save this file, I'll quit Superfile, open Superfile again, and you can see I have this ugly theme, which of course I'm going to change back to Tokyo Night. You can also modify any hotkeys in the hotkeys toml file, and as you can see, hotkeys accept arrays. So you can have multiple keys to do the same thing. As you might have already seen, Superfile can also display images, but the images are very pixelated, which I think is being worked on. And there are also the occasional bugs that crash the program. But hey, this project is less than a year old at the time of recording, so I'm sure things are going to improve over time. Anyway, if you want more on Superfile, go and check out their website. And as usual, if you enjoyed this content and want to see more, then be sure to subscribe.